I can't believe that I've lived long enough to see something like this happen to Battlefield. But here we are, everyone. After all of these years of rushed releases and broken launches, DICE has been dissolved and the publisher is on a rampage to switch things up following 2042's incredibly disappointing launch. We are truly in the dark ages for this series. Let's have a talk about these major events that will switch the course of this franchise forever. Hello everyone, Chris back again with you in Gaming Zone. As you might have guessed with the title of this video, some serious changes happened to the Battlefield franchise these last couple of weeks. Starting with the incredibly disappointing and shallow Call of Duty clone called Battlefield 2042, and ending up with complete reorganization at Electronic Arts Studios. Today I would like to discuss these serious changes, since at this point in time, the Battlefield we knew is pretty much over, and will probably never be the same again going forward. As much as I love DICE's projects and ideas, I knew something like this would eventually happen, especially after the disaster that was World War II Entry released in 2018. Just when you thought everything will be alright, here comes another taste of reality. Let's start with the build-up that led to this eventual publisher crackdown on DICE, and exactly why this studio is no longer the people we knew of. I'm going to be honest, since 2014 DICE hasn't released a proper polished game, and everyone had to suffer because of that. Players for receiving broken and/or underwhelming products, and publisher itself suffering losses because sad people didn't like the state the release was in. Prime example being Battlefield 4, the game was unplayable for a solid year because of crashes and horrible netcode problems. Can you just imagine, everyone, buying a product that you can't use for the first year you own it? And this happened again and again until now, in 2021, when the publisher was fed up with such shenanigans. 8 years, everyone. 8 years DICE couldn't release a stable project out there except Battlefield 1, and that also has some asterisks. Let me actually list the problems that kept piling over the studio's reputation, that eventually led to 2042 being the last straw for Electronic Arts. Just for you to know how severe the situation was, and why something like this happened to DICE. Battlefield 4's release and first year, a complete broken mess and hellish experience. Battlefield 1, which was the most stable game from technical standpoint in this mentioned period, but completely shallow with content upon launch, and for a solid 7 months afterwards with DLCs taking more than half a year to arrive. Battlefield V's pre-release marketing disaster and horrible launch, which set a new low for the franchise at the time. And the star of the show, Battlefield 2042, which was developed over the course of 3 years, with assurances that everything is ahead of schedule, releasing with less content than Battlefield 3, mind you, a product launched 10 years ago, and with tons of cut features and game-breaking bugs. That, everyone, is not even counting the Star Wars games, which were also absolute misery on launch. First one lacking content like Battlefield 1, and the other having an aggressive monetization system that became a laughingstock for the entire internet. As you could tell with the previous information, the Battlefield franchise is not in the best situation as of this moment in time. After years of delivering disappointments, and DICE dropping the ball with releases following Battlefield 1, tons of people lost hope in the upcoming products from this company, some even giving up and switching franchises. 2042 attempted to regain some of the former glory by using the nostalgia factor in the trailers, and even gave a shot at bringing back some content from older games. This, however, made the situation even worse, because the game turned out to be a complete letdown and downgrade to what used to be an awesome experience everyone loved and enjoyed. Strange concepts and mechanics, removal of features that were in the game since Frostbite engine was introduced, all of this just piled up and ended up kicking down the latest entry in this franchise. And mind you, Battlefield 2042 was developed for 3 years. That's one of the longest time windows DICE was given by EA to develop a game. Summing up the situation shortly, the franchise is in shambles right now, thanks to rushes and necessities to meet schedules and quotas. You thought it was bad before during Battlefield V? We got it even worse now, sadly. Thanks to this colossal failure that officially dropped on November 19th, DICE had a mass exodus of employees that eventually led to dissolving of the studio as we knew it. Yes, everyone, this is truly the end of an era for this franchise. The DICE that worked on previous entries of Battlefield has pretty much vaporized and moved on. Everyone that worked there during the reigns of Battlefield 3 and ending up with the latest hires seen in Battlefield 1 are now gone completely and moved on to other projects. The only thing that remains is the name the studio has. Everything else is basically fresh talent that might be either decent or bad. Honestly, I feel both happy and sad to see this happen. One side being happy, because all of these 8 years Battlefield has been going downhill in terms of quality, and the studio not caring about actual concerns and complaints coming from the player base. And the other being sad, as we lost the original creators of this franchise, people who gifted us these incredible games. Now that DICE itself is no more, with the creative director Oscar Gabrielson now gone, the franchise is going to have a serious turnaround. This is where the new talent arrives, under the creative control of Vince Zampella. Some of you might know him from the original Modern Warfare entries of Call of Duty. It's official that reforms are happening, and that Battlefield is expanding, now with multiple studios working on entries for this franchise. The new Pseudo-DICE, Ripple Effect, formerly known as DICE LA, and an unnamed EA studio from Seattle. This information is extremely important when it comes up to the topic of future for this franchise, since things have changed up drastically, as it's not just a studio reform, but an entire roadmap and future plans change. This is why I believe Battlefield will never be the same again, since people who created this franchise originally are no longer there, and the fresh blood may or will change the formula to whatever they want. These events happening in the background, of course, have changed Battlefield 2042's future. It's not a big surprise that this title's release has brought up a lot of question marks in the community, both for subpar choices and concepts, and the state the game has launched. These restructuring news are going to change things with the game's lifecycle, and it can be for better or for worse. With tons of rants and very harsh criticism, 2042 for the majority of players turned out to be a huge disappointment, and that is myself included. As DICE is no longer the people we knew and just a shadow that calls itself that, they have to prove themselves that not all hope is lost. While it's great that Ripple Effect, former DICE LA, has creative control over this franchise, they are not the ones assigned to fix the main game itself, that is all-out warfare and hazard zone modes. Right now, this new Pseudo-DICE studio thankfully ingests the feedback community has, and actually works on improving the game real time, something that I'm glad to see. As for future content, everything is just a big question mark. While yes, there might be some leftovers the studio can bring for this game when previous talent worked on this project, but what about actual new content that wasn't planned during development? This is where the situation is delicate, and the freshly hired people must prove themselves worthy. Now some words about the future of this franchise based on EA's statements before diving into my impressions and concerns about everything revealed these last couple of weeks. Battlefield Universe is now officially a thing, with multiple studios working on separate entries and experiences for this franchise. This is a move in similar fashion to Call of Duty, where you see different studios releasing different games but under the same title. This is where Pseudo-DICE, Ripple Effect, and unnamed EA Seattle studio come in, with plans to expand this franchise further with both multiplayer and single-player experiences. For now it's unknown if the release schedules will shift to annual or biannual game drops, but this definitely changes the way Battlefield games are being developed. When you have 3 studios that shuffle around with a name, it leaves a time period of 3 years for each one of them to plan and develop an entry. That doesn't mean those can be really high quality games, a perfect example being Battlefield 2042 and Call of Duty Vanguard. This is where we come to my impressions, everyone. Battlefield as we know it no longer exists, and it's truly sad to see this happen. The era of franchise entries we know of is truly over, with the original employees abandoning the sinking ship since Battlefield V happened. The studio we knew is no more, and everything we hear and see from it comes from Pseudo-DICE. That's how I'm going to call these folks, because they are not the true developers of Battlefield titles, but fresh talent hired to help salvage a sinking ship. The Battlefield community lived long enough to see this franchise just crumble upon their eyes, with games getting worse and worse in polish, and now with 2042, in quality as well. EA finally managed to run this studio into the ground, the corporation imposing their ideas and copying competition, instead of DICE creating the product they wanted and innovating a franchise everyone loved. Nothing about innovation, but following monetization trends to generate cash for the CEO of the company. Now the fact that Vince Zampella is now the manager of Battlefield games can either mean good things or bad things. On one hand, you got the creator of the most famous Call of Duty entries to ever see the light of day manage this franchise. And that inspires hope that maybe Battlefield will rise from ashes and it will see glory again. On the other hand, it also can turn into a monetization train wreck like Apex Legends, ignoring any community feedback like former DICE did and focusing on money spawning tactics. Time will tell how everything will pan out, as information provided by Tom Henderson stated that the future game planned for 2023 was supposed to be a hero shooter, in a similar manner to Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege. I do hope they will turn around and scrap these plans, because specialists are the most hated feature of Battlefield 2042 currently, and the majority of the community agree that they should be removed from the game and be forgotten like a bad dream. Honestly, this is a huge disappointment that Battlefield ended up like this. We went from technical problems seen in 2014's entry to huge conception mistakes that put under question the future for this franchise. Battlefield 4, although was a marvelous disaster on launch, had hidden in itself an incredible experience requiring some polish and care from developers. Battlefield 2042, however, even with polish and performance fixes, has problems that would require years of hard work or a complete makeover, something EA would never provide after the incredible negative reception of the community. I doubt this game will ever recover after this launch, as the player number fell down by a whopping 75% in just 3 weeks since the release date. But hey, Pseudo-DICE are doing an excellent job right now with patches for this entry, and are fixing things left and right. That doesn't mean the game will suddenly become a great experience, but making such advancements in such a short amount of time is truly worth a praise. They still have to prove themselves going forward though, as I have zero trust in this new studio. In conclusion everyone, this is the end of an era for Battlefield franchise, both for game releases and for the community. We will no longer see Bad Company 3 and Battlefield 2143's original visions, as the talent that created the prequels for these particular entries is no longer there. On the flip side, this is truly sad to witness. On the other hand, the fresh blood might deliver something even better than Battlefield 3 given time and resources. Keyword, might. But who am I to say that? Electronic Arts will do anything possible to monetize every aspect of the game, given the chance to do so. As you might have seen from the previous upload I did about 2042's launch, I lost all hope I had for Battlefield franchise's future. I'm still interested to see what are the results of these radical changes in talent and studios, but I'm no longer going to support the publisher's endeavors going further. Until I witness a stable, solid product release coming from Pseudo-DICE, Ripple Effect, and or other studios that might join the development, 2042 remains the final game that I'll ever purchase in this franchise. As much as it pains me to see everything crumble upon my eyes, this is the reality of things everyone. Times change, and you must accept that and just move forward. Thank you for watching this video my friend. Truly a shame to see Battlefield go out like this, especially after years of playing this franchise with a burning passion. Before you go, remember to throw a thumbs up and subscribe. Clicking that bell stuff will send you notifications when something new is uploaded on my channel. Thank you for watching, this was Chris, see you in the gaming zone. Thank you for Battlefield DICE, you'll be truly missed.